Imagine this. Elon Musk, the visionary genius who changed the world with Tesla and SpaceX, a man known for his ability to tackle some of humanity's greatest challenges, now faces his toughest question yet. It's not about rockets or electric cars, but a question that strikes deep into his heart. His young son, with wide, confused eyes, looks up at him and asks, "Why did Mom leave?" The room falls silent, and in that moment the weight of the world seems to shift. Musk, who has always been the one with the answers, the one who solves problems with logic and innovation, is suddenly at a loss. He's faced public scrutiny, failed businesses, and the pressure of leading cutting-edge companies, but this is different. This is the raw, emotional pain of explaining to his child why their world has changed. His answer will forever shape his son's view of love, family, and the complexities of life. It's a moment of vulnerability that no one expects from a man who's known for conquering the impossible. Today, you will witness the untold story behind the headlines, as Musk shares a truth that will change their relationship forever. It was a quiet afternoon at the Musk family home, a rare moment of peace in a life often filled with the frenzy of work, innovation, and public attention. The sun filtered softly through the large windows, casting a golden light across the room, where Elon Musk sat, absorbed in emails and project plans. His desk was cluttered with papers, a few half-drunk cups of coffee, and his ever-present laptop glowing with unread messages and notifications. The gentle hum of a world constantly in motion was all around him, yet here in this room he could almost feel a sense of calm, the kind of peace that often eluded him in the chaotic rush of his career. His son, a bright and sensitive child, sat nearby playing with his toys. His small hands carefully constructed makeshift worlds from Legos, his face a mixture of concentration and joy. To anyone watching, it might have looked like just another ordinary afternoon, the kind that passes unnoticed in most homes. But for Musk, this seemingly simple moment was about to become a turning point, a defining one, that would forever change the course of his relationship with his son. Elon Musk is, of course, known worldwide for his groundbreaking work, the man behind Tesla's electric cars and SpaceX's bold missions to space. He is a billionaire, a genius in the eyes of many, and a visionary who has taken on the monumental challenges of reshaping entire industries. His name is synonymous with ambition, progress, and the pursuit of the impossible. The world looks to him for answers about the future of technology and human advancement. But in this quiet room, away from the glare of the media and the weight of his public persona, Elon Musk is also just a father, a man trying to navigate the very real and deeply personal pain of a divorce, while raising children amidst the complexities that come with it. For most people, the pressures of work and family life are a delicate balancing act. For Musk, it was nothing short of an intricate dance. Between meetings, launches, and international projects, finding the time and emotional space to be the kind of father he wanted to be was always a struggle. But he did his best. He cherished moments like these, quiet afternoons when he could be with his children, even if only for a short while. But that day, as he glanced up from his laptop, he saw his son's innocent face staring up at him, the kind of gaze that every parent recognizes as the precursor to a question that was about to shake Musk to his core. Why did Mom leave? The words, so simple yet so profound, hung in the air, and for a brief, gut-wrenching moment, time seemed to stop. Musk's heart skipped a beat as he looked into his son's eyes. The innocent confusion was evident. The boy had always been sensitive, perceptive, and bright. But this question, one that Musk had long feared, was not something his son could have possibly prepared for. There was no way he could have known that his world was about to change in ways that even the most advanced technologies Musk had built couldn't fix. His son's eyes, wide with innocence, were searching for something, a clear answer, a sense of reassurance. But the truth was, Musk didn't have the words for the weight of this moment. For Musk, this was not the type of question he could answer with logic or technology, the way he often approached problems in his professional life. There was no formula, no simple solution, He had spent years designing and launching rockets that reached for the stars, but now, he faced the impossible task of explaining the intricacies of human emotion, love, and loss to the very child he had worked so hard to protect from such pain. He had known this moment would come. Divorce is never easy, especially when children are involved, and Musk had tried his best to shield his children from the media frenzy and emotional fallout. But no matter how much effort he had put into shielding them, the truth was that his son, like any child, could feel the distance, the change, the absence. His son had grown up in a family with two parents, always in the same house, and the idea that things could no longer stay the same was foreign to him. Children, Musk knew, tend to look for certainty, for stability, and in that moment his son was asking for just that. The weight of the question pressed down on him. Musk had always been the man with answers. His ability to find solutions to some of the world's toughest problems had earned him a reputation as a genius, a visionary who could solve the seemingly impossible. But this was different. This wasn't about finding the right calculation or optimizing an algorithm. This was about his son's heart, his emotions, and how to make sense of a painful reality that neither of them could avoid. How could Musk explain to his son in a way that he could understand why things had changed so drastically? Musk paused, his mind racing, trying to find the right words. He could feel his heart heavy in his chest, the realization that this was a defining moment in their relationship. His son wasn't asking for an explanation of the circumstances. He was asking for the truth about why things had to change, about why the love that once held their family together wasn't enough anymore. Musk knew that his son's heart was at the beginning of a long journey, one filled with confusion, hurt, and perhaps even resentment. This was a moment Musk had hoped would come much later, when his son was older and could better understand the complexities of adult relationships. But here it was now, and it was up to Musk to offer some form of comfort and truth. He took a deep breath and gently lowered himself to his son's level, looking into his eyes, searching for the strength to answer. The words he had prepared in his mind didn't come easily. Sometimes, even when people love each other very much, they can't always stay together. Musk began, his voice steady but soft. People grow and change, and sometimes the best thing for everyone is to go their separate ways. But know this: both your mom and I love you more than anything, and that will never change. His son didn't fully understand yet, but the simple reassurance that he was loved, deeply and unconditionally, seemed to calm him, at least for a moment. Musk hugged him tightly, holding him close, knowing that this was just the beginning of many hard conversations to come. The room was still, and for a brief moment Musk allowed himself to just be there. No technology, no innovation, no projects to solve. Just a father, doing his best to guide his son through one of life's most painful experiences. In that moment, Musk realized that the hardest challenges he would ever face were not the ones with rockets and electric cars. They were the ones that would come from love, family, and the delicate task of being there for those he loved when it mattered most. Musk wasn't prepared for this. Despite his genius in technology and business, there was no manual, no formula to help him navigate this conversation with his son. Musk had spent his career solving complex problems, launching rockets into space, developing electric cars, and advancing human progress. Yet here he was, struggling to find the right words for a situation that was so deeply personal. Musk had always done his best to shield his children from the harsh realities of his public life, to keep them protected from the media frenzy and the emotional toll that came with his high-profile lifestyle. But this moment, this question from his son, was something he couldn't shield him from. The deep emotional pain of family separation, the confusion that came with a parent no longer being around, this was a truth that even Musk couldn't hide behind his achievements or his work. His son's question wasn't just a simple inquiry, the kind of question that a child might ask about why the sky was blue or why the grass was green. No, this was a question filled with confusion and hurt, a reflection of the pain his son was starting to feel deep down in his heart. The boy hadn't yet fully processed the change in his life, the absence of his mother in their home and the shifting dynamics of their family. Musk had done his best to protect him from the fallout of his personal life. But it was becoming clear that the emotional wounds were already beginning to show. His son wasn't asking for an explanation about the complexities of relationships. He wasn't asking for a scientific breakdown of why things didn't work out between his parents. He was asking for something far more elemental. He was asking for understanding, for reassurance, for answers that would make sense of the pain he was beginning to feel. How do I explain this to him? Musk thought, his mind racing. He had faced challenges that would intimidate even the bravest of people. He had launched rockets into space. He had reinvented industries, and he had navigated the complex world of business with a focus that seemed unshakable. But this was different. This was his son, sitting before him asking a question that went beyond the realm of logic or science. This was a question about love, about family, about the heartbreaking reality of separation. Musk had always been able to come up with solutions, to figure out a way to fix things, to bring together pieces that didn't seem to fit. But this was something beyond even his brilliant mind. This was about a little boy's heart, and it was a puzzle Musk didn't know how to solve. He took a deep breath, his chest tightening as he sat down beside his son. The child's face, full of innocent confusion, tugged at Musk's heart, making the words he needed to say even harder to express. Musk had always prided himself on being clear and direct, on providing answers that were well thought out and easy to understand. But this time, the simplicity of his son's question made it even harder to find the right words. Musk had always known that being a father would come with challenges, but he had never imagined that it would feel this difficult to offer the right kind of comfort during moments of such intense emotional upheaval. "Mom loves you very much," Musk began, his voice soft but firm. He tried to steady his emotions, but the truth was that every word he spoke was wrapped in his own feelings of pain and helplessness. But sometimes, even when people love each other, they can't always stay together. They need to go separate ways to be happy. The words felt foreign as they left his lips, like something he had read in a book but couldn't quite believe himself. Musk had always prided himself on being able to tackle any challenge, whether it was designing a rocket or navigating the complexities of his business ventures. But this was a different kind of challenge. This was about his family, and the way he needed to help his son understand something that was so emotionally complex. Musk knew that his son needed the truth, but he also needed it in a way that wasn't overwhelming. He needed to hear it in a way that would make him feel safe, that would make him understand that love wasn't disappearing, it was just changing. Musk paused, looking into his son's eyes, hoping that the boy would understand, but the silence between them felt heavy. His son's brow furrowed in confusion, and Musk could see the wheels turning in his mind, trying to make sense of the words. The boy didn't yet understand the complexities of adult relationships. He didn't yet understand that love sometimes isn't enough to keep a family together. But Musk had hoped just for a moment that he could find a way to make it clear that no matter what happened, no matter how things had changed, the love for his son would never fade. His son's silence spoke volumes. It was clear that he wasn't quite grasping what Musk was trying to say. The boy was trying to understand, but the reality of the situation was too complex for him to fully comprehend. Musk had hoped that the simplicity of his words would help his son feel a sense of comfort, but the confusion on the boy's face was all too apparent. Musk's heart ached as he realized that no matter how hard he tried, there was no easy way to explain the pain that was being caused, not just by the separation itself, but by the ripple effect it had on their family. "Why can't she be happy with us, Daddy?" his son asked quietly, the hurt in his voice unmistakable. The boy was searching for an answer, looking for something that would make it all make sense again. Musk's heart broke at the question. His son had always seen him and his mother as a unit, as a team that would never break apart. The idea that their family would no longer look the same was something he couldn't fully process, and it was a harsh reality for Musk to explain. Musk struggled to keep his composure, his emotions threatening to overwhelm him. This was not the easy fix he was used to. There was no formula to make this go away, no invention that could heal the wounds his son was feeling. All Musk could do was be there, hold his son close, and reassure him that no matter what, love would always be the constant. And with that thought, Musk gathered the strength to speak again. "We'll always love you," Musk whispered, his voice shaking just a little. "That will never change. I promise you." His son, still processing the words, nodded slowly, though his face was filled with confusion. Musk held him close, knowing that this conversation was far from over. It wasn't going to be fixed in one moment, and it wasn't going to be easy. But Musk was determined to guide his son through this difficult time, no matter how hard it might be. This wasn't just about answering questions. It was about showing up when it mattered most, offering love and comfort when the answers were too complex to fully grasp. The silence between them was heavy, almost suffocating. Musk could feel the tension rising in the room, thick with unspoken emotions. His son, usually so full of energy and curiosity, sat next to him, his little brow furrowed in confusion. Musk watched as the innocent eyes that had once been filled with wonder and joy now reflected something much deeper, something he hadn't prepared for. The innocence of youth had never been so sharply contrasted with the complexities of adult relationships, and it broke Musk's heart to see his son struggling to make sense of the pain that was now a part of their lives. "But why can't she be happy with us, Daddy?" his son asked, the words slipping out quietly but with an intensity that sent a jolt of sadness through Musk's chest. The sadness in his son's voice was almost too much for Musk to bear. It was a simple question, one that any child might ask when they first realize that their family is not as they imagined it to be. But in that moment for Musk, it was an earth-shattering question. His son was not asking for an explanation of events or a list of reasons. He was asking for something deeper. He was asking for the reassurance that everything would be okay, that their world could still be whole despite the changes. And Musk had no easy answer to give. Musk's heart sank. He had always tried to soften the reality of the situation for his children, to shield them from the emotional complexities of his life. He had hoped that the pain of the separation could be minimized, that he could offer them a sense of stability despite the chaos around them. But now, sitting beside his son, the reality of what he had been trying to protect them from was staring him in the face. He had spent years building companies that could change the world. He had designed rockets that defied gravity, but this was something he couldn't fix with the stroke of a pen or the push of a button. This was human emotion, raw and painful, and there were no innovations, no formulas, no algorithms that could solve it. He tried to gather his thoughts, his mind racing as he searched for the right words. How could he explain that sometimes love alone wasn't enough to keep a family together? How could he explain that two people, despite their best efforts, could grow apart? That even though they both loved each other, they could no longer find happiness in the same way? It seemed so simple to him, something that adults could process and understand, but how could he convey this to his son, whose world was still small, still centered around the idea that family meant togetherness, love, and permanence? Musk knew that his son wasn't ready to understand the intricacies of relationships, especially not the kind of complexities that came with the end of a marriage. His son was young, with a heart still open to the idea that things could always stay the same, that love would always fix things. But the truth was, things had changed. His parents were no longer together, and that simple fact had shaken the very foundation of his son's world. The boy's heart was breaking in real time, and Musk, for all his knowledge and success, was powerless to ease that pain in a way that could make it disappear. His son's eyes began to well with tears. Musk could see the confusion and sadness take root, turning into a deep emotional pain that the boy couldn't quite articulate. Musk felt a lump in his throat, his own eyes stinging as he watched the child who had always been full of joy and laughter, now struggling with this unbearable weight. The tears that began to form in his son's eyes were a painful reminder of something Musk had feared, that no matter how hard he tried to protect his children from the difficulties of adult life, they would eventually have to face them. And now it was his son's turn to face that pain, to process the emotional fallout of a family splitting apart. Musk felt helpless. As a father, he had always prided himself on being able to provide answers, on finding solutions to problems, no matter how complicated they were. He was a man known for solving the impossible, leading space missions, creating electric vehicles, and shaping the future of technology. But this was different. This was personal. There was no formula for emotional pain, no blueprint for explaining why people change or why love sometimes isn't enough. There was nothing he could do to fix his son's heartbreak, to make it all go away. And that realization, more than anything else, threatened to overwhelm him. His son's tears continued to fall, and Musk's heart broke with every drop. The devastation in his son's eyes was too much to bear. It was a reflection of the pain that Musk himself had felt when the relationship ended. Musk had hoped that the pain would eventually fade, that his son would be able to process the changes in his own way and come to terms with it as he grew older. But right now, in this moment, the pain was raw and real, and his son wasn't ready for it. Neither of them was. Musk could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him. He had faced challenges in his life that would intimidate most people, but nothing had prepared him for this. Nothing had prepared him for the emotional devastation of seeing his son hurt and not being able to shield him from it. The boy was looking to him for comfort, for reassurance, for an answer that would make it all make sense. But there was no answer that could make it all right, no easy solution that would fix the brokenness in their family. All Musk could offer was his presence, his love, his unwavering support. But even that, in the face of such deep pain, didn't seem like enough. Musk wrapped his arms around his son, holding him tightly, as if he could somehow shield him from the heartbreak that was unfolding. "I know this hurts," Musk whispered, softly, his voice thick with emotion. "I know it's hard, but please always remember, no matter what happens, you are so loved. Both your mom and I love you more than anything in this world." The boy clung to him, his small body trembling with the weight of his emotions. Musk held him close, offering all the comfort he could, though he knew it wouldn't be enough to fix the pain his son was feeling. The tears continued to fall, but at least in that moment, Musk could provide the love and reassurance his son needed most. His presence, his arms around him, a reminder that he wasn't alone in this. But Musk knew this was just the beginning. There would be more tears, more questions, and more moments of pain. The road ahead would not be easy, but Musk was determined to walk it with his son, to be the father his son needed, no matter how difficult it might be. And though he couldn't solve the heartbreak, he could offer love, understanding, and the hope that, with time, the pain would eventually lessen, and their family would find a way to heal. Musk gently pulled his son into his arms, holding him close as the boy's tears continued to fall. The weight of his son's heartbreak was something Musk could feel deeply in his own chest. He could sense how confused and frightened his child was, struggling to understand the emotional turmoil surrounding their family. But in this moment, Musk knew that everything was shifting. This wasn't just about the sadness of the moment. This was a pivotal point that would define how his son viewed love, relationships, and even life itself. It would shape his understanding of how people could grow apart, how even love wasn't always enough to keep people together. It was the first lesson in understanding that life wasn't always perfect, and that sometimes the hardest decisions, like the one that led to their family's separation, came with pain that could only be processed over time. "I know this is hard," Musk whispered softly, his voice thick with emotion, though he was trying his best to remain steady for his son. Musk could feel the vulnerability of the moment, how raw everything felt. Even though he had faced public scrutiny, pressures, and many challenges in his career, there was no preparation for something like this. No way to truly understand the depth of the pain his child was feeling, or the responsibility of helping him navigate that emotional storm. Musk knew his son needed reassurance, but he, too, was struggling with the same pain. The pain of seeing his son hurt in a way he couldn't shield him from. "But always remember," Musk continued, his arms tightening around his son, "you're not alone. Mom and I both love you very, very much, and we're always here for you, even if we don't live together anymore." For a long moment, his son just sobbed, clutching Musk with all his might as though holding on to the last remaining thread of his understanding of love. Musk could feel his son's little body shaking in his arms, a stark reminder of how fragile his son was in this moment of uncertainty. Every sob, every tremor pulled at Musk's heartstrings. He had always prided himself on being able to make sense of the world, to solve problems and find answers. But here, with his son's grief so tangible and raw, there was nothing he could do to fix it immediately. There were no answers that would make the pain go away. All he could offer was his presence, his love, and the assurance that no matter what, they were still a family in the truest sense, just with a different shape. Now, Musk felt the ache in his own chest, the deep sadness that came with the reality of his son's pain. The moment wasn't just about comforting his son, it was also about Musk confronting his own feelings. As a father, the one thing he wanted most was to shield his children from pain, to protect them from anything that might hurt them. But here, he was unable to shield his son from the emotional fallout of a decision that had to be made, no matter how difficult. And in that moment, Musk realized something important. He didn't have all the answers, and maybe his son didn't need all the answers right now. What mattered in that moment more than anything else was that his son knew he was loved and supported. Musk may not have been able to erase the pain his son was feeling, but he could help him navigate it. He could be the steady force in his life, just as his own parents had been for him during his hardest times. Musk thought back to his own childhood, the lessons he had learned from his parents. They weren't perfect, but they had always been there for him, offering comfort when the world felt uncertain. Now it was his turn to provide that same steady love and support to his son. As Musk continued to hold his son, whispering reassurances, he was keenly aware that this would not be a one-time conversation. This wasn't a moment that would fix everything, nor would the emotional healing happen overnight. The road ahead would be filled with more questions, more difficult moments, and more tears. But Musk also knew that, in time, his son would come to understand that love wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about everything always being easy or staying the same. Love was about being there, showing up, and offering the best parts of yourself even when it was hard. Musk knew that his son would learn this lesson, but for now, it was enough to simply be present. Slowly, the boy's tears began to subside. His sobs softened, his little body slowly relaxing in his father's arms. Musk could feel his son's breathing steadying, the emotional storm gradually quieting down. There was a quiet strength in the way the boy allowed himself to settle into the safety of Musk's embrace. Slowly, the boy nestled deeper into his father's chest, finding solace in the warmth and comfort of his presence. The sense of reassurance that Musk had been offering began to take root, even if just a little. The boy wasn't alone. He had his father, who would always be there for him no matter what. Musk held his son a little longer, just enough for the boy to feel the security of being loved and cared for. Musk knew that as the days and weeks passed, there would be more moments like this. More questions, more struggles, more emotional breakthroughs. But each moment, each conversation, would bring them closer. They would learn to navigate this new chapter of their lives together. And while the pain of the separation would not disappear overnight, Musk hoped that his unwavering presence and love would be the foundation upon which his son could heal. As his son slowly pulled away, wiping his eyes and looking up at his father, Musk saw something that gave him hope, something that told him, despite the sadness, despite the uncertainty, things would eventually get better. His son wasn't yet fully healed, but in that moment, he was no longer lost in the depth of his pain. And for Musk, that was a start. It was a start of something that would, in time, lead to a new understanding of love, resilience, and family, a new chapter they would face together. As the boy looked up at him, a small, tear-streaked smile appeared on his face. It wasn't much, but it was enough for Musk to know that the healing had begun. And as a father, that was all he could ever hope for. As the days passed, the difficult questions didn't stop. Each one seemed to come at unexpected moments, when Musk was in the middle of work, while they were eating dinner, or even when he was tucking his son into bed. His son, still struggling, to process the changes, continued to seek understanding, asking questions that tugged at Musk's heart and forced him to confront his own emotions. "Why can't we all just be together again, Dad?" his son would ask. "Or does Mom still love me even if we're not living together?" Each question left Musk feeling helpless in ways his professional achievements never had. In his career, Musk was the man who could break boundaries, launch rockets, and change industries. But in these quiet moments with his son, he had no clear answer. Musk, however, remained steadfast, offering the love and support his son needed, even when the answers didn't come easily. His son's heart was still raw from the changes, from the realization that things would never be the same. Musk had always believed that love could fix most things, but now he saw that love wasn't always enough to solve all of life's complications. But what love could do, he realized, was provide stability in times of turmoil, reassurance in moments of fear, and the comfort of knowing that no matter how much the world shifted around them, they would always have each other. Musk did his best to be present, to stay emotionally available even on the tough days when he too was feeling the weight of the situation. As much as Musk wanted to protect his son from pain, he knew that shielding him entirely from the hard truths of life would only delay the healing process. He wanted his son to understand that it was okay to feel sad, confused, or even angry, but that he didn't have to face those feelings alone. The truth was painful, but facing it together would help them both find a way forward. There were days when his son's questions became harder to answer. Sometimes his son would cry out of nowhere, the reality of the separation hitting him in waves. It was on those days that Musk would pull his son close, sit with him, and offer what little comfort he could. There were no perfect answers, no quick fixes, but Musk had something that was more important than any solution. He had the consistency of his love, and as the days wore on, he realized that sometimes the hardest conversations are the ones that lead to the greatest growth, not just for his son, but for him as well. By being honest, by being vulnerable, and by remaining emotionally available, Musk helped his son navigate the confusion and pain of their new reality. He learned that as a parent, sometimes you need to show your own vulnerability in order to help your child process their emotions. He didn't have to have all the answers. What mattered was that he was there, showing his son that it was okay to feel, to express confusion and pain, but that they would get through it together. This approach wasn't easy. It forced Musk to face his own emotions about the divorce, about the choices he had made, and about the difficulties his son was facing. But by being open and emotionally present, Musk was creating a space for healing, not just for his son, but for himself as well. As the weeks passed, their relationship grew stronger. Musk could see it in the way his son began to open up more about his feelings, how the tears became less frequent and the questions less loaded with despair. His son was beginning to accept that while their family had changed, their love for him had not. They both learned that love wasn't just about being together all the time. It was about supporting each other through life's most difficult moments. Musk was learning too that his presence, his unwavering support was enough to help his son heal. It wasn't the perfect answer, but it was the most important one. Through these challenging moments, Musk came to understand that sometimes love meant being there even when you couldn't fix everything. It meant sitting with someone in their pain and offering them the safety of your presence. It wasn't about providing answers to all of life's complicated questions. It was about showing up, day after day, and offering comfort in whatever way you could. The story of Elon Musk and his son is a powerful reminder to all of us that no matter how successful or powerful we may be, at the core, we are all human. Life, with its unpredictability and challenges, is something that no amount of wealth or success can shield us from. In those quiet, intimate moments, those moments of heartbreak and confusion, we are reminded of our shared humanity. Musk's journey with his son shows us that life will always throw challenges our way, but it's the connections we have with the people we love that provide us with the strength to move forward. When life gets tough, the best thing we can do is show up for the ones we love, offering them the understanding, compassion, and support they need to navigate even the hardest moments. is one of the most powerful things we can give. And sometimes, it is in those difficult, painful moments that we discover who we are meant to become. For Musk, it wasn't about being the world's most innovative entrepreneur in those moments. It was about being the father his son needed, about showing up as a steady force in his life. In doing so, he not only helped his son through a difficult time, but he also found deeper meaning in his own life and the relationships he held dear. And though their family might have changed, the love they shared, and the lessons they learned from that hardship would remain with them forever, guiding them through whatever came next.